In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a live stream episode of In the Trenches podcast with Ryan Roxie. Above all, I thank you for taking some time out of your day. It's not like you were just sitting around the house doing nothing, right? Or maybe you were. And of course, that's what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. That's why I decided to do this live stream podcast. So you can, if you are stuck at home, you can listen to it. You can hear that we're all in the same boat together, and we're going to get through this together as well. So who did I choose to bring on to the show? And I think it was a good decision that I did. Another guy that's in the trenches, been with me in the trenches now for a couple of years in the Alice Cooper Band. He's from New York via Switzerland, but you guys know him as being from every single hometown that we play every single night when we're on tour with Alice. Would you please welcome to In the Trenches, Tommy Henriksen. Hello, Tommy. There it is.
In my cell block in Switzerland, I'm hunkered down.
So,
oh, man.
What's going on? Anything happening? You heard anything about the news? Anything going on in the news at all?
I get my news feed from Jack Ponty. Because his news feed's always good, but around here, man, everything's locked down. It's been locked down for a while. You can't go anywhere right now. Everything's closed. You can only go shopping for groceries or to the doctor.
Wow. So, yeah. Well, you know what? That's the whole thing. We have people watching, as we can see in the chat. We have people watching from Australia to California. I'm in Sweden. You're in Switzerland. Nobody ever gets that right whenever we tell people. You know, it's like, well, it's the same place. You guys must hang out all the time.
Yes.
But the truth is we do hang out when it's tour time, but nowadays we'll be hanging out online. Maybe.
And we talk all the time too. We're always FaceTime and stuff like that. Because we're always just talking to each other. That's what we do. You know what I mean?
How about
communicate?
That? Communicate. We're two guitar players, actually three guitar players that communicate. Me, you, and Nita have pretty good communication on stage and off stage, I'd say. Yeah. I have such good communication that I'm wearing a certain shirt in honor of Tommy, because Tommy gave me this shirt. I love this shirt. I think he gave it to me on the last Australian tour. I've been wearing it every single day, right?
You know what, man? I like giving stuff away. You know what I mean? Because people give us a lot of gifts a lot of the time. You know what I mean? We'll get like stuff and it's very surprising where you're like, whoa. I don't know where Ryan just went. But,
no, it's all right. Good. I can still hear you.
It's actually kind of cool because you get these gifts from so many people that's just really so sweet, and they make stuff for you, and it actually amazes me that they took the time to do that. So I always like giving stuff away too, whether it's a bracelet, not like re-gift or whatever, you know. But I don't know. I just like giving stuff away. You know what I mean?
Well, I want to welcome everyone to the live stream of In the Trenches with the Ryan Roxie podcast. We have our guest, Tommy Henriksen, today from the Alice Cooper Band. He's not only from the Alice Cooper Band, he's from the Hollywood Vampire. You are a true Hollywood vampire, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
You are a full member of
I am, but some people don't recognize that, but it's fine.
I definitely do. You're from New York, you're via Switzerland, but then the boss introduces you from being every single town that we're on every single day. You know, whatever town we're playing, you're from that town. How did that come about?
Honestly, I don't know. You got like, that's one of those Cooper things where it's like one night he was just like, I think he did it with someone else and they didn't like it. They were like, I don't want to be from that town. Am I from?
That sounds like a Glenn thing. That sounds like
I'm not from that town. So then Cooper did it with me, and I was like, dude, call me from any town you want. Just call me. You know,
I'm from Thousand Oaks. Make sure you get it right.
I'll be from, I don't care, Waukegan, what's Saskatoon, whatever place we play in Canada. Saskatchewan, whatever the hell it is.
Well, Saskatoon is a place in Canada we were supposed to play this next month. Obviously, we're all on lockdown here because of COVID-19. Sounds like some sort of emo band, but it's put us in sort of self-quarantine, or everybody like from all over the place. I know that we have some listeners from Italy watching, so our hearts are out with you. But you know what? We're all in this one together, and we are going to get through it together. Part of it is going to be, you know, through the power of our rock and roll guitarists, you know. I was asked to play that. Yes, the Kinks. That's one of our favorite bands.
Yeah. But Roxie, it's been really like, when we were just, me and you, we were in Singapore, dude. That was like I was like, what the hell's going on? This was
we knew something was up. It was early. Well, that's the thing. We were the two guys that when we first started that Australian tour that wore the masks, and everybody was
making fun.
Yeah. And now I kind of look back at it like, well, did it do any good? Did it not do any good? Are we all going to, eventually end up catching it to some degree? But, hey, that's current stuff. That's what we're going through right now. But the reason why I'm here today is because I did a little digging on you. And that's the reason why for the podcast, because there's some people listening that might not know everything that I found out about you this last couple of days of just going down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
I chose a different rabbit hole of the internet to go down. This was the Tommy Henriksen rabbit hole, which is probably a better decision for me.
Won't get you in any trouble.
Oh yeah. Then we'll keep me out of trouble. Yeah. But obviously I said you're from New York. You grew up in New York, and you actually grew up not a guitarist, which maybe some of our listeners might be shocked. Yeah. You started off bass guitar.
Yep, I was a bass player originally for my whole life until I joined Alice Cooper. When Alice said to me in the studio, you play guitar? And I was like, yeah.
Sure I do.
So I just learned it, you know what I mean? And that was it. So I just figured I'd just be a guitar player, so.
Even before I got back into the band, I think this was about 2011, I got back in 2012. You guys came to Sweden. I interviewed, I think it was Damon or Chuck and stuff. And then you were in the hotel. I just remember you having the guitar in your hand and always practicing. And since that day, up until, a couple of weeks ago, you're the guy that spends that extra time learning the instrument. And I'm proud of you, man. You've become, very, very few people can learn a brand new instrument. It's not so much brand new because you played bass and you're a good bass player all these years, but you definitely have taken on the guitar and really mastered it this last, you're our foundation. You're our rock, man.
Dude, that's really sweet. And I appreciate that. It's really nice. Honestly, it's like, I just love music and I love guitar and I love equipment. I could look at road cases and like go, those road cases look cool. You know what I mean? Like amplifiers, even though we don't have any amps anymore. But just guitars in general, I just love the way they look because they're sexy and they're cool looking and they got attitude,
Well, I did notice on this last tour, we can talk about because it's still current events before I go way deep in your past. You just had to cut short a Rock Meets Classic tour, which is kind of a bummer, right? You guys were in the middle of Germany, halfway through the tour. It was Alice Cooper, Tommy Henriksen, and a 50-piece orchestra with, Robin Zander was there as well. But I saw you with one of the coolest looking SGs. Did you bring that out on the road? Is that a new one?
No, I've had that for the longest time. I took it off the road because I had it signed by everyone. When we did the Motley Crue tour, I had them sign it, all the Vampires, the original Alice Cooper group, and Robin Zander actually signed it, and Rick Nielsen. And so I was like, let me take it off because it's going to be for Finn. It'll be one of those things. So I had no guitars. So I was like,
is Tommy's son, and Finn is basically going to have the biggest guitar collection by the time he turns, well, he has it already, man.
But imagine being Rick Nielsen's kid. That's a guitar collection. You know what I mean? At least Finn, he'll have some guitars to choose from, but that guitar always was cool. But the Rock Meets Classic thing, we just started getting into a groove because we got there. The arrangements were a little different. There was a song in a different key that we normally play it in. We had to relearn that. Coop's like, I'll do it. And they wrote all the charts out. So I looked at Coop. I was like, we got to redo it. So me and Coop, we relearned it. And then we had to relearn the arrangements. And then by the third gig, I was like, wow, this sounds really good. And all of a sudden, the fourth gig, I was like, this sounds amazing. And then the Swiss Miss called me up and she's like, don't get too comfortable out there. You're about to come home. And I was like, come on.
The Swiss Miss knows. And for those of you that don't know who the Swiss Miss is, that is Tommy's wife, who's from Switzerland. And yeah, she seems to know about things before we do. She seems to know definitely about all your airplane flights. How did you even get home from that tour?
I'll tell you how I got home from that tour. So we're in the bar that night, right? We're in Berlin. And it's Mel, Karen, Anna, I'm trying to think who else. Sue, a bunch of people were in there.
Andy was there.
Yeah.
I know that, we had French. Yeah, I know that a lot of people, because I kept getting updates.
Kinga, I call it King Anna. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're all hanging out in the bar, and Kyla comes up to me. He's like, "It's over. You're going home." I was like, "Dude, it's 11. What are you talking about? I was just hanging out, having a good time with everyone." And he's like, "That's it." So Andy, this is how the universe works, dude. Andy, who is a pilot for Swiss Air, who actually was the guy who hooked the vampires up to go record at Hansa Studios for the Heroes thing and all that. That's another story in itself. So he happens to be there, and he's like, "I'm going to Switzerland tomorrow morning." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "I'll get you on my flight." And I was like, "No way." He went like this. "All right, what time you want to leave?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "We can leave at 8, 9, 10 or whatever." I was like, 9. He's like, "Great, we're done." Didn't have to call anyone up. Got on a plane the next day. Me and him went to the airport. It was a ghost town, dude.
Yeah, that was some scary Instagram footage that I think you put up on a story or you put up as a post. And it was just like empty. And I was like, going, okay, shit's starting to get real.
It is.
And then look what's happened since then. Look what's transpired. But like I said, I don't want to concentrate and dwell too much on it, other than just for everyone to know that's listening around the world, we're all in the same boat together.
Yeah.
We're going to get through this together. And of course, you're going to get through it by listening to Stefan Adika's Coffee Talk in the morning. And then every once in a while, I'll come on here and do a live stream in the trenches with Ryan Roxie podcast. So one way or another. But I'm going to get through the next couple minutes talking a little bit about you and the bands that you sort of cut your teeth on. Rough Cut. There's a Rough Cut, and that was a band that you had with your brothers, right?
My brother Gene, but we like had the whole neighborhood. It was like one of those bands that when we put it together, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. But this guy, Bob Tees, like said to us, he goes, "You guys are a bunch of dummies." He goes, "But if we do this right,"
that wasn't Jack Pawnee that said that?
Dude, you know what, man? He's out of the Jack Pawnee school. Bob Tees is like, he used to work at the Boogie Hotel and stuff like that, where Farcat used to make all their records and stuff. And we painted the studio and became friends with Bob. And Bob said, "You guys are a bunch of dummies. I'm going to make you guys realize how to do this the right way." And he actually built it up. And we had all the people from the neighborhood, dude, the whole thing do it. My brother was a drummer. And we played the whole tri-state area. We were all on salary, dude. We were making money every week. It's like one of those things. I look back. We had one of the biggest light shows and stuff. And
did you guys play L'Amour's?
We played L'Amour's all the time, dude. L'Amour's East and Brooklyn. We played every way you could think of. We played. And we played 6 nights a week. And I sang like 3 sets a night. We were doing a Motley Crue show. Stefan, dude, he saw it. You know what I mean? And
L'Amour's Queens was my first gig in New York City. It was my first New York gig. L'Amour's Queens was Circus of Power. It was Electric Angels opening up for Circus of Power. Yeah. I remember that.
How big was that place? Remember when you used to walk in, you used to be like, "Holy shit."
Oh, I know. Shit.
And that was a big place.
Well, from there, obviously one of the highlights as well, Doro Pesh. You played with, what did she call herself? It
was Warlock. It was what? She's Queen of Heavy Metal.
Queen of Heavy Metal. Okay.
What happened with that gig was, so I'm playing in Rough Cut, and the band breaks up. My brother Gene does his thing. It's almost like, you know how L.A. Guns. You got Stephen Riley's L.A. Guns. You got this is way ahead of this stuff.
There was another Rough Cut in Los Angeles because I come from California. I remember that Rough Cut from L.A.
Yeah, we had a lawsuit with those guys too.
Different logos.
Yeah, and we spelt it different. We spelled.
Did you have 2 T's, or where were your grommets? Were your grommets over the second O or the?
No,
everybody had grommets over that. Thank you, Motley Crue, for really.
Very New York, Roxy. RUFFKUT.
Yeah. Okay.
That's very New York. So we were playing around stuff like that, but the band broke up. So you had Eugene's Rough Cut, and you had the Cut. You know what I mean? Which was me and Rojo and this guy, John Michelli, who's the drummer of Meatloaf. and Gene had his own thing going on. So all I remember is after the cut broke up, I joined Rondinelli, this band Rondinelli.
The drummer, Rondinelli, legendary drummer, Rondinelli.
I was like this kid in the neighborhood. I used to go and like wash Bobby's car and cut his lawn and stuff and watch him and his brother rehearse. So one day he said to me, he's like, I need a singer. And I was like, I know the guy for you. He does this great Van Halen tribute, and his name's Ray Gillen. And I put Bobby in touch with Ray. Next thing I know, Ray joins Rondinelli. James Lomenzo was the bass player then, playing with those guys. After like 2 years, I think James Lomenzo left. And then Bobby called me up, and he's like, hey, 2-inch. That's what he used to call me.
2-inch?
Yeah.
What would that be sort of referring to?
Well, it ain't my dick. I can tell you that.
You might want to clarify that.
But because I was this little rink rat
in Europe, it might be longer, 2 inch, like 2 centimeter.
So anyway, so what happened was Ray joined the band, and James quit or whatever. I don't know what happened. So then I joined the band, and we were managed by Lieber and Krebs at the time with Adam Baum and all that stuff in heaven.
Krebs, they had managed Aerosmith. They were top notch managing.
Yeah, and Paul O'Neill was the day-to-day guy who was the leader and the head of Trans-Siberian Orchestra later on. And, Paul passed away, which really sucks because he was a really sweet guy. But anyway, so Ray was in the band. We're doing demos with the guy who produced Bon Jovi's first, Lance Quinn. Bon Jovi's, we're in Philadelphia working on
Bon Jovi's first demos or Bon Jovi's first album?
First album, Lance Quinn. We're at the warehouse. I think it was called the warehouse.
With Runaway and
yes.
She don't know him. She don't know. Great songs, man.
So we're in that studio, and we were making like, I don't know if you want to call it a record or a demo, and we're doing this, and it sounded like Whitesnake we were doing. It was really cool stuff. So we're doing that, and I don't know the time frame of, but I remember it was like a month or so later, I get a phone call from someone who's at the New Jersey, they were at the Meadowlands or something like that, one of those places. And they're like, hey, man, I'm going to see Sabbath. I heard your buddy Ray, your singer Ray, is going to be in the band. And I was like, what? And then I heard
Ray Gillen.
Yes. So then I heard, I think it was from like Dave Spitz or one of my Jersey friends. I forgot who it was, but they said,
I'm trying to go down the,
it's weird, dude.
Rabbit tail, trying to go down the rabbit hole and trying to find the pieces that all fit together. But the bottom line is Doro.
I'm going to get the Doro.
Okay, you're getting okay.
All right. So what happened was Ian, who was the singer then? It wasn't the bass player, Glenn Hughes. Okay. So he couldn't cut the tour. So Ray, all of a sudden that night, was asked to join the band. So I get a call from Ray going, hey, Tommy, man. I was like, I know where you are. I was like, I'm here. You know what I mean? Right. And I'm going to the Meadowlands. And he felt really bad. I said, listen, man. I was like, I didn't feel bad. I was like, Ray, it's a great gig. Go do it, man, and have fun doing it. So he went on to go play with Sabbath, Rondinelli. That thing fell apart. And as it fell apart, I remember this guy, Joey Ballin, calling me up going, hey, Tommy, it's Joey Ballin. I'm working with this band, Warlock. She's the queen of heavy metal, and I hear you're the guy.
All these guys sound like good fellas. Bobby Rondinelli and
it is like that. So then Tommy Bolin calls me. He's like, yeah, I told Joey Ballin about you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
Tommy Bolin, Tommy, big Tommy.
So they were
2-inch Tommy.
They were making their record at the whoever did
Power Station?
Yes, at Power Station. And Joey called me up and wanted me to come down. So I said to my mother, I was like, this band wants me to go down. My mother looked at me, she said, go. Don't be one of these idiots around here. Just go check it out. So I went. I checked it out. And then I remember meeting Doro, hearing the stuff. I was like, it's not really my cup of tea, but let me go home and think about it. And I went home and I talked to my girlfriend, Angela, at the time. It was really funny. And she was like, go do it. Don't be a loser. Get out of this town. So, and my mother said,
but above all, you had the hair. You had the hair.
Well, dude, it was like out of
perfect
control.
hair for Warlock.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'll pull up, on the remix and the rebroadcast, I'll pull up the perfect shot, but you had the hair, buddy.
Dude, it's getting crazier right now. It's the longest I've had it in a long time. And I'm just letting it go.
So you got into the band. Did you tour with them? Did you make some records? Obviously.
On the first record that we did, the All We Are record, I didn't play on that record. Everyone thinks I played on it. This guy named Skylar Deal, this bass player, played all the stuff on it, and Cozy Powell played drums, and Michael played drums, some other guy. But when I joined the band, they just put my picture on it, and they were like, "You're in the band. We're going to Germany to take photos." I had no idea, dude, what any of this was happening because it happened so fast. Yeah. And next thing I know, I'm on a plane when you could smoke back then. And
on the plane, of course.
Yeah. And I went to Germany.
You basically pulled a Gilby Clarke because, like, with Gilby Clarke, I was on my name was on that first Pawn Shop Guitars album, but I did not play on that album. I played on some of the B-sides, right, that eventually got put out. But kudos for you for just embracing it. And now I'm being a little forthcoming now that I wasn't on that Pawn Shop Guitars album, but my name was on the credits right under Slash. So it gave me good perception. I always said that album gave me a good perception.
Exactly, which is really
perception
cool.
is reality.
And you know what? You're in the company of Slash. So, I mean, how better it can't get any better than that, But I didn't care because I didn't know anything, So then after we did that tour, the manager, this guy named Alex Grobe, anyway, I can't wait to find that guy. He fired the whole band. And he's like, we're firing the band and we're calling it Doro. And I was like, why would you do that? We just did this whole thing. And he's like, because she's the queen of heavy metal. And I was like, all right. So,
hey, man, she's royalty. I mean, in some world, some way, she's royalty.
So I'm sitting there, right? And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? He's like, can you put a band together? I was like, I could put a band together right now. I went home. I called up Rondinelli. I go, hey, Rondo, I got a gig for you, pal. And Rondo's like, I don't know. So then I called this guy, John Levin, who was in this band, who I saw. He plays in Dokken now. Amazing.
We know John. Yeah, John's great. He's one of the best all-around guitarists / lawyers I've ever seen or gotten legal advice from.
Yep.
That's the honest truth. So what band did this become?
This was Doro. This was the Doro band. So we went and made a record. Me and Joey and Doro and John wrote all the songs. We went in there. We did the record, and all the stuff went gold. All these records went gold. I still haven't seen any money from it, which is really funny because
it's like me with Tal Bachman. We were just talking about that a little bit earlier.
It's terrible, Roxie.
How that money just goes. I know. But you know what? It's painful. But not kind of now when you can take a step back and we're still playing music at this age, we're still doing what we wanted to do when we were kids, we can laugh about it a little bit. The one story I kind of always do laugh about that I want you to tell is because, you're getting out of Doro. Something's happening. You got this amazing head of hair. You got this look, you got this vibe. And then Joan Jett asked you to play in her band or something happened with that. But what transpired? Please tell.
Paul O'Neill, from Lieber and Krebs said to me, I got a gig for you to go to. And he said to me, he goes, don't fuck it up. And I was like,
me?
Of course, me being me, I go to Joan Jett's rehearsal. And this is when she was doing that movie with Michael J. Fox. I forgot the name of that movie, Bright Lights or something like that, whatever it was. And I went down there and I played, and Kenny Laguna said, come back to the house. I went back to the house, and he's like, we're really interested in having you play bass with Joan. And I was like, oh, great. He's like, under one condition, you got to cut off all your hair. And me being an idiot from New York, it's like, you don't have any, I had nobody to tell me this is the way you do it, son. This is the way
just cut the hair. We'll deal with it later. Yeah.
No. I said,
so you said no. That was your line in the sand.
Yep. I said, no, I'm not cutting my hair. So I go home. Paul O'Neill calls me up. He goes, are you an idiot? I go, why? He goes, so you just told me you just turned down Joan Jett because you didn't want to cut your hair? I said, yeah. He goes, you're an idiot. You have the phone on.
But you survived. And you survived. You eventually moved to LA. And then that's where our story kind of crosses, because I was playing in a band called Dad's Porno Mag.
Yep.
You're playing in a band at that point, a power trio called POL,
Yep.
Parade of Losers, who actually happens to contain current Alice Cooper drummer and basically household name, Glenn Sobel. So tell us about POL. Tell us a little bit about POL.
Was one of those things when the whole Doro thing fizzled. I was in New York, and I was like, you know what, man, I'm just going to drive to LA. I had $1,500 in a Camaro. Swear to God. I drove out to LA, and I was doing extra work with this guy, Frank Leva, at the time. He was a really good friend of mine, great drummer and stuff. And he was getting me all this extra stuff where you go down, do this stuff. And so we're doing that, banging out. And then what happened was, before the POL thing, I was in CC DeVille's Needle Park with Kelly Hansen from Foreigner and James Kotak from the Scorpions.
Dude, you're going to need like some sort of like detective whiteboard to figure out all this stuff that's going on. I hope those of you that are listening are taking notes, because there's so much family history and family tree rock and roll history going on.
Before that, I was in War and Peace with Jeff Pilson and Russ Parrish from Steel Panther, Satchel and Ricky Parent, God rest his soul. Like, Pilson actually saved my life. I have to tell you, if anyone saved my life, it was definitely Jeff Pilson. I had nowhere to live. I was living in my car, and I went down.
So the POL gigs weren't paying great.
The POL gig didn't come until after War and Peace. So I was in War. So I joined War and Peace, and we're in Jeff's band. I move into Jeff's house. He teaches me so much stuff, Pilson, about like everything, about life, and just, I don't know. He was really like a great teacher for me. Like, he came in my life at the right time, Pilson. And he taught me about food, like just everything. Like, I was like, why does this guy know so much? And he's so talented. And I learned so much from him, you know? And then when Russ came to the door, he was like this little kid. And we were like, yeah, he's in the band. And then we had the band, and we had Camel Management with Lisa Hendricks, manager, Sherry Fall. All these people were around us, and we couldn't get a record deal because Nirvana
That's
came.
always the story. Isn't that always the story? Let me ask you this. Were you ever in a band with Mike Pont? Because he's actually he's in the chat right now, and I wanted to do a shout out to Mike Pont. You know,
Mike Pont was the king of Long Island, dude. Hot shot. Him, Bruno Ravel, Steve
West,
all those guys, man. Yeah,
I know. I just wanted to recognize that, folks.
Pont's
Mike
a legend, dude.
He's in the conversation.
Yeah. But after that War and Peace thing fizzled out, that's when all of a sudden I moved back to New York, and I was there. A tree almost fell on me. I was like, why me, Jesus? What did I do? I moved back to LA, and then all of a sudden I was at the Rainbow one night, and someone said CC DeVille's looking for a bass player. And I went up to his house to jam. Back then, CC's house was like for every misfit you could imagine. It was just filled with drugs.
Yeah. It must have been a circus.
No furniture. And I went up there and jammed.
This is the 80s?
This is 1991.
Well, late 80s, early 90s, the same difference. It was debauchery. It really was.
And he had no furniture, and it was just drugs, and you'd be up there for like days. And, I never partied. And that's what he said to me. He's like, I don't know about you. You don't party. And I was like, dude, I did all that. I'm not going to start doing that now.
He would look at me and say, I know about you. You party too much. Hey, but I was always on time. That's one of my... Go ahead.
Make a long story short, which I always thought was funny. So we're doing this Needle Park thing. He gets this huge record deal on Hollywood Records for like, I don't know, it was like $2 million. And he's like, I'm going to make all you guys rich. And I remember just sitting there, and Kelly Hansen and James, and we were just like, all right, let's see if this thing lasts for like 6 months, because unless he might die, because that's how bad it was back
Tommy,
then.
You're in a band called Needle Park. What did you think was going to happen? Needle Park.
Well, at least Kelly didn't party. So me and Kelly were the guys.
No, you and Kelly are actually the monks.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine Kelly going, well, no, my tea and lemon is a little strong for me tonight.
Yeah. And then CC fired him. And then
no. CC didn't you?
Well, the thing was, CC's like, he's out of the band. And Cece wouldn't tell me he was fired. And I said to Kelly, I was like, he's not going to tell you, dude. So I called up Kelly. I was like, because Kelly would always say to me, you're the least important guy in the band. I remember that.
Was that because you were the bass player?
Yeah, it's a bass player. I'm used to being.
Is Stefan listening still? I don't know. Is Stefan listening?
So, but Cece couldn't fire him. So I called up Kelly. I was like, dude, he's not going to tell you he's a pussy. You're out. And he's like, that's it. So next thing you know, I was fired. But anyway, so we did a video with Spike from the London Choir Boys. And we did this remake of Hey Good Looking for the Son-in-Law soundtrack. If you could find that, that's a good one.
Dude, there's going to be someone on the chat right now that finds it and sticks it up, and it's going to actually go, things don't go fine anymore.
And Roxie, I got fired about, I don't know how many months after that.
Well, the thing is, you're resilient, dude. You're like Jason. You're like Jason Part 8. You always stand up and you dust yourself off and you say, okay, fine, I'll do it, because I know that you had a solo album as well. You had one of your biggest influences and guys is Peter Gabriel, and you made an album that had sort of flavors of that, if I could be so bold to say that. And all that
stuff. I was
so that was in 1999, right? So you do the Tommy Henriksen solo album, and then you take some time, obviously songwriting, playing, just in the trenches, like we say, learning how to play guitar in a rock and roll band with Steve Hunter, who's probably one of the best guitar teachers that you could have, to be in the Alice Cooper band in the 2000. When did you join Alice?
I started working with Alice in 2009. You know what I mean? But I didn't join the band until 2010, and 11 was the first tour that I did. Yeah.
So then you go on, and there's this is where I find the research kind of, all right, this is where shit gets mysterious. I see on one of your album credits, you're an aerobic collection album.
Really?
Did you even know that you were an aerobic collection album?
No,
and a tribute to Limp Bizkit.
That I do know. I did that song called The One. Yeah.
All right. There you go.
And
so those two albums.
Yeah.
All right. But then you went on to do your own solo album. So you get to the point where you're making solo albums. You're playing Tommy, and Starstruck. And I'm going to probably play a little bit of Starstruck when I do the rebroadcast. But now, because I just don't want to get banned in every country, I want to just talk about it.
Yeah.
How are making those solo albums for you?
It was funny because after being in Alice Cooper, I was like, I'm going to make a rock record, but I'm going to put keyboards in it and make it weird, because I love keyboards. I love Kraftwerk. I love the Cars. I love all of that stuff. And I love rock music. I love punk music. I love world music. So I was like, let me try and make something that sounds like that. And so that was the first record, the Tommy record. And then the second record, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make a straight up rock record this time. You know what I mean? Just write some songs. And I did it all here, like in my apartment, you know what I mean? On a laptop. Yeah. And,
you've done a lot of, for me, couldn't be more proud of the mixes that you've done for my solo album. You've done 3 of the mixes on the solo and production on my solo album. Plus you did the Roxy 77 EP as well. Yeah. And you would always tell me, you know how to mix, you know where to play stuff. And I love it because you always know what the right production that I like, you know, and that I think a lot of people like. It's a nice lush, but it's still in your face. And you continue to do that work past Alice Cooper, past your own solo stuff, all the way up to the Hollywood Vampires, which you produced the album Rise. I mean, I know it's a band production, and I know it's all politically correct to say band production, but I know Tommy Henriksen Productions, and that sounds all Tommy to me, because it's vibey, it's in your face, and it's experimental with cool ideas. And that's what I think you always bring to the table. You always bring an open mind to each and every project. So tell us a little bit about the Hollywood Vampires and your production approach to that album.
Honestly, that production approach was like, that's Johnny Depp going, hey brother, I don't want to make this slick. let's just keep it raw. And I was like, you want raw? Let's do it raw. So what we did was we recorded that whole thing pretty much live. Like it was some nights it was like, it was tough, man, because I'd be up like seriously like 18 hours a day because I'd get up at 7 in the morning. I'd work till 7, 9 o'clock the next morning because Joe would come in at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd work with him till like 5 in the morning. Then Johnny would show up at like 5 and I'd go with Johnny from like 5 to 9 o'clock or 10 sometimes. And JD was a big part of that. I can't take all the credit for that because he was the one telling me. I would always be like, do you dig this? He's like, keep on going, brother. I love it. So when you hear that record, it's out of tune. It's out of time because we didn't grit anything. There's no samples on it. There's hardly any vocal tuning on it at all. Like with Alice's vocal, I kept it raw because that's the way Johnny wanted to do it. And Alice, you know, we sang all that stuff in hotel rooms.
Right. And just like my solo album, we've done a lot of the tracks when we did it in solo albums except our apartment, our hotel rooms weren't as nice as the hotel rooms that you stayed in with the Hollywood Vampires. I think Ritz-Carlton has a better ambience of sound than the Marriott. But at the end of the day, it still sounded great. And I'm happy that you kept that album as raw as you did, because that's what I told you the first time I heard it. I said, this is what a rock band sounds like. You know, it's basically like you stepped inside the rehearsal studio. You know,
and with Joe, when Joe's playing, like, I was like, I'm not going to stop him every bar to tell him to tune up. I was like, let him go. And that's what I did. I just let him go, let him do his thing. I didn't tell Joe what to play or anything. I was just like, I got it. He'd be like, what do you mean? I was like, I got it. He'd be like, no. And I was like, yes, I got it. You know, and then with JD,
we really have to work on our impressions because each guy that we do imitate sounds like the same guy.
Well, Johnny's more like, hey, brother, you know, he's calm.
You got JD down. You got Johnny down.
His voice is always calm. He's always calm. I've been around him where you'd be like, I can't believe this guy ain't freaking out, yelling. He'd always be like, listen, brother, it's all good. You know, Joe, on the other hand, Joe would be like, I got this. You know, it would be really funny because it's just dealing with everyone. Then when I played it for Coop, I remember Coop going, why does this sound weird? And I was like, because it's out of tune. That's just the way, like Johnny's on the left side, Joe's on the right. And then Glenn would come in at like 4 in the morning. I'd be like, Sobel, come on in. No one's here. Let's cut the drums. Or Johnny would be there and be like, bring in your boy, Glenn. And I said to Glenn, I was like, just show up, dude. I'll call you like 3, 4, 5 in the morning. You got to show up. And Glenn would. And that's what happened.
It sounds a little bit like the making of the Slash's Snake Pit record, because that's usually when rehearsals would kind of start at one point. But I'm not sure if those listeners out there, if you're listening to the podcast right now, if you're actually listening and watching us on YouTube, our director / producer Vic Chalfant has gone crazy with the photos. When I told him you were going to be on the show, I told him, hey, grab a couple photos, grab maybe a video, this, that. Apparently he went to town. I think he's got your whole collection of every photo you've ever been in with Hollywood Vampires. But I love it, man. It's a good one, man. Yeah, I mean, it adds for me visually. I'm looking at it. I'm loving it. So thank you very much, Vic. And of course, thank you very much, Tommy, for hanging out with us. And thanks you to our live audience that's listening right now, wherever house or apartment or bunker you are holed up in right now. Obviously a weird time of the world, but we're getting through it together, and we're getting through it with guitars. I told you to bring your guitar. So
I did.
I mean, I'm going to, man, can we even do this? I'm going to say, Tommy's always playing guitar licks. I want you to play your favorite guitar lick. Yeah.
I'm learning Angus Young. That's what I'm learning.
Okay, that sounded like a little bit like Billy Gibbons as well. But I mean, I'll take it to another round. I'll do a little bit of Beatles.
What song is that?
I want you so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that doesn't sound good with like a Wi-Fi.
Anyway, that's
we
why
both chose the Les Pauls today. You know, yours is the 3 pickup Ace Frehley special with the smoke bomb in the middle.
Yeah.
And that's a Les Paul custom, right?
Yeah, I really love this guitar, man. It's like I will never sell this one. You know, it plays so good, sounds so good. You know,
I might sell this one. I mean, come on, look at the times we're in. I might sell it.
I know we're unemployed right now, dude.
Hey, man, that brings me to the next point because we're going to wrap up the podcast and then maybe take some questions from the chat and from the conversation group. But obviously, I want to thank everyone that's been listening to this podcast. I want to thank Tommy Henriksen for coming on, telling us a bunch of stories. I'm going to have to go down Wikipedia and pretty much research every name that he said except Mike Pont because that's a household name. And then everyone for listening. If you want to support the show, just always go on to ryanroxie.com. Or if you want to support Tommy Henriksen, what is the best way to get in touch with you and support you?
I got nothing. It's an Instagram, dude. It really is. I don't got a website. It's terrible.
Trying
to get Vic to do something. Hopefully I'll have something coming soon or whatever.
Judging from the amount of photos that Vic collected over the course of this interview, I think he's going to do you just right, man, because he's at DisVicious1. That's Tommy's Instagram. But you got tons of followers already, man. But you know what? We're making more.
Well, the good thing is we have a lot of the same people. You know what I mean? Like we have this little circle, which is really cool because everyone travels to the gigs. You know what I mean? And like we become friends with all of these people, which I kind of like. It's not first it starts out like the fan thing, whatever, but then it just gets a little, it gets deeper than that,
Absolutely, it does. It is a family. And, I'm going to wrap this podcast up before we go into our little extra bonus credit of questions and stuff. But again, if you want to support, follow at Tommy on Instagram or follow at DisVicious1 on Instagram for Tommy Henriksen. For me, it's at Ryan Roxie. And at the end of the day, man, enjoy the ride. Thanks for listening to In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie podcast, and we'll see you next time. But guess what? Now begins a whole new era because Tommy, now I can relax a little bit because that was sort of the podcast, and then I'll edit it up and make it sound good stuff. But we have questions for you. Ryan, what's your favorite of Tommy's songs and what's your favorite of Ryan's songs? Well, I mean...
I don't mean a damn about the reservation.
Okay, so we know Tommy's favorite is Me Generation from my album, which he produced.
Exactly.
But
that's a good tune. Yep.
The little Starstruck.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not that it's my favorite. It's just the one that I've played the most with you and vice versa, because that's what we do in the Goon Squad. For those of you that are listening and, if you're listening right now and you're on the chat, you've obviously heard about the Goon Squad.
This is for Burkholder. See, when I did that riff, it always reminded me of like this Foghat song. I forgot the name of the song. Really cool song. And I was like, oh, that sounds like Foghat. That's why
it does sound a little bit like a Foghat song.
I'm trying to think of a Foghat song.
It's one of those Foghat songs where you go, I don't know what it is.
Driving wheel. That's it. You're my driving wheel. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Foghat live.
Dude,
wow.
I loved Foghat. Lonesome Dave was amazing.
Of all the bands, I mean, well, we had the pleasure just recently playing with a band that you play in the dressing room all the time. We got to play with A Rose Tattoo in Australia, and we actually got to play Rock and Roll Outlaw. That was pretty cool, man.
that was like one of those like bucket list things when Angry, you know what I mean, showed up at the gig.
Yeah.
Thanks to you and your friends over there. And
they sorted it out, man.
Yeah,
and I know we have listeners right now from Australia. Thank you for sorting out Rose Tattoo. Because if you don't know Rose Tattoo is, you definitely know Nice Boys Don't Play Rock and Roll. That was great, you know?
All that stuff, man. It was cool, though. That's all I got to say. It was one of those things I was like, oh, my God, this is awesome.
I'm going to look at some of these questions for you, Tommy. How are we all keeping fit when stuck indoors? I'm still doing the same damn Jillian Michaels video that I've done since for the last 10 years. It's the same 25-minute cardio video that I think I got in a DVD at a Target somewhere. How do you keep in shape while we're stuck indoors?
Dude, I got to get into that, man. I'm eating too much bread right now. When I'm home, it's just everything's, bread. And I got to cut that out anyway. That's how I'm staying in shape. I'm going to start eating less.
Are you, Tommy, what is your favorite musical interlude from the Rise album? That's a good question.
That is a good question. I would definitely say it has to be the one before the Johnny Thunder song. What was that one called again? It's the piano bit that Jamie Maholbrecht did. Hang on a sec. Let me, because I just can't remember.
I'll bet you someone in the comments has it right now. Which one was that? Wow, look at this. You got some people hinting at the new stuff, but I didn't know if you wanted to unleash the new stuff just yet. So I'll let you.
The Wrong Bandage. That's what it's called.
What's it called?
The Wrong Bandage.
The Wrong Bandage. Nice.
All those lyrics are from Johnny's diary.
Yeah, that's something that I think people should actually know about, is that these lyrics that came out from this album. Yeah, I remember you telling me this story. Yep. It was pretty impressive. It came from Johnny's sort of notebook of poetry, ideas, songs.
Yeah, he writes down. He's got like books, and he does art in there, and he puts all of his journal, and he writes all of his personal stuff and all of these weird things. And he just said to me when we started making records, like, "Can you make songs out of this stuff?" And I looked at him, I was like, "Absolutely." So I just go through the journals and I just write notes. I'd be like, "Oh, how the glass fell. That's cool. A pitiful beauty. Great." And then I was like, "Welcome to Bushwhackers. Who's laughing now? Like, good people hard to find." I'd write all the stuff down. Then when I hear a song or a riff that we came up with, I'd be like, "This sounds like, Mr. Spider." And he'd be like, "Mr. Spider?"
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Yeah." And he'd be like, "You know what that's about?" And I'd be like, "I have no idea, but it's a good title." He goes, "Yeah, I'll tell you about that song." And then we'd go back to the book and he'd tell me the story.
I think the best story of all those ones, whether it's Mr. Spider or whatever, is the Boogeyman Surprise.
Yeah, the Boogeyman.
What is the Boogeyman Surprise? Because I know that people have probably asked about it, or maybe they have. Should the truth come out?
The Boogeyman Surprise, one of those songs. I was serious when we did it. I was like, "This has got to be the Boogeyman Surprise." Because I was like, "You ain't ready for the Boogeyman Surprise." John's like, "You know what the Boogeyman Surprise is?" I'm like, "Have no idea, brother." He's like, "Oh, brother, I got to tell you what the Boogeyman Surprise is." I don't want to say anything right now, but anyway.
You don't want to say it? Dude, the Boogeyman Surprise is a good story.
Let JD say that one, dude.
All right. We'll save it for that. Wow, that's a cliffhanger, man, that you left him. All right. So, then we'll go to a softball. We'll go to a softball question. Okay. Tommy, how many tattoos do you have?
Well, I got a lot.
An easy one. Oh, just a lot?
Seriously? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dude, it's like, I don't know. There's got to be like 70 of them. They're all small tattoos. You know what I mean? And I've had them going for years and stuff, but,
How come no one asked me that question? How come that question wasn't posed to me? What? Because I got zero.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? Me and Alice Cooper are the only two rock and rollers I think that don't have tattoos. If you can name another rock and roller that doesn't have a tattoo, put it in the comments.
Glenn Sobel.
No, Glenn has one, doesn't he?
He's got an eye piercing. That's it.
That's just because he wants to be buried in a mausoleum. That's the only reason.
And he will.
He will.
I haven't talked to the G-Man.
Because we're burying him out here right now. Look at him. There he is, right there on the right.
I love
Look
the
at that.
G-Man, dude. He's the only guy that shows up. He knows all the songs like better than everyone. You know?
Yes, he does. He charts them out.
He does.
So wait a second. If anyone wants to come on right now and hang out for a second there or two with the living legend that is Tommy Henriksen, I'm going to put on this link right now. And if you got the balls, the kahunas to come on the show, obviously, Adika, if you're around, I want you to come on, but I'm not sure if you're still watching it or listen to it. But Vic, if you see someone come on, why don't you have them come on and bring them on, and we'll talk about it. By the way, thank you very much, Vic, for supervising the show. You've done a great job so far. It's like I said, I was thinking this even went longer than I thought it was going to be, but everything's been fun. It's been a good time, and I really appreciate you taking the time, Tommy. Who's up on the stream right now? Kitty, there you are. What's happening? Hey, thanks for supporting, Kitty. Thank you very much for supporting it, and thank you for wearing headphones. Yeah. What are you doing? Are you working out? Are you working out right now?
I think she's from Australia.
It's like 5 a.m. or something, Nelly.
You told me you were going to set your alarm so that you could see it. So I thought like maybe you got the headphones on, you're on the treadmill, you're like in the house because we had that. What are you doing? You getting ready for your day?
Not quite. I haven't even gone to bed yet. I live the rock and roll lifestyle.
But
Come on.
It's a tomorrow. Do you have a question for Tommy at all?
Just wanting to know what's next for you. Like, what are you going to do for the next however long while this quarantine thing's going on? What have you got planned?
I've just been working on some music, so it's going to be coming out. Hopefully, I'm hoping this year, next year. I don't know. We'll find out. I got like this thing I've been working on with a good friend of mine, so we'll see what happens.
I like that. That's a good one. That's almost as much of a cliffhanger as what the Boogeyman surprise is.
I really can't talk about it.
No, it's good because it's going to be good, man. Trust me. I know a little bit more, but my lips are sealed. So that was a good question, Kitty. Again, thank you for always supporting. Thanks for being on. Should we bring Nick
from the last time too, dude? She was on the Dika show. Hey, Sparky!
Sparky's on, but wait a second. It's not Sparky. I see Sparky's head, and then I see her ear, and then I see part of her.
I can't figure this out.
Well,
there you go.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
There we go.
Hey, what's happening, Sparky? What are you doing?
How you doing?
Hello.
Well, Sparky someone that worked in Sparky's office had coronavirus. She'll tell you all about it.
Yes, they did. I spent a week at home.
Right.
And then I was back in this week.
Well, I'll be spending the next month at home at Parent.
Yeah, right now I still have to be in the office. I work in travel, so it's fun.
Yeah.
Well, damn.
It's tough right now, man. Everything's close.
Yeah.
No planes, no nothing.
But the co-worker who had it, she's back in the office. She's absolutely fine now. So this thing can be beaten. It's just going to take a little time.
Hang in there, Sparky.
Yeah.
I'm just getting a notice right now that someone is trying to enter, but the studio is full. That means that when we put up the link, you people answered and all wanted to come in. So Sparky, you're on with us right now, but we're going to kick you out and bring on maybe Nick Sessler.
Fine.
Is that okay?
Tell Jimbo I said hello.
Yeah, tell Jimbo. All right. We'll see you again. Hold it down in the UK, right?
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, what's happening?
How you guys doing, man?
You can hold it down in the UK, right? Oh, you got to put your headphones in there in order to do that. Unfortunately, Nick, but you need headphones and you need all that kind of stuff. Are you okay? You doing all right? Unfortunately, Nick, but you Cool. I got you. We'll bring you back on in a little bit. Who wants to wait? Is Mel here? Who's there? Oh, man.
Hey, Joanna, what's happening? That's it. How you doing, kid?
You got your family here now. What are you thinking, Joanna?
Honestly, this has been a rough thing for me. Like, I'm relocating back to home.
Okay.
I'm relocating.
Is that good or bad?
I didn't expect my college career to end this way.
You know what? We didn't expect our careers to end this way either.
We did not expect. Yeah, I was already packed. I didn't unpack from Australia. I still had my suitcase packed of stuff. I'm like, well, I'm going out in 3 weeks anyway. Let's go. Yeah.
And so many people right now, man, are just, we're all in the same boat. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's so tough right now. Like with everyone, the crew, everyone working, you know what I mean? It's like everyone has like lost money, job. It's terrible right now.
Well, you know what though? Come on, this is going to be our home for the next couple months, I guess. You know what? I'll be doing some live podcasts and live stream podcasts, and I'll edit them up. I'll do a rebroadcast, of course, but this is all bonus time for us. But you know what? Thanks for hanging out and dropping by. Hey, there's Mel right there.
Baker, Mel the Baker.
Jeez, how you feeling?
I
know.
follow me on Instagram.
Thank you very much. What's up? Where are you from now? Where are you calling in from?
Hamburg.
German Hamburg. That's right. You just saw Tommy, didn't you?
She was at the bar when I got Kyla coming and going. It's over.
You were there for the call. Ooh.
She was there. Yeah.
I was there.
They had the whole thing planned out, her and Sue. And a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
It's just,
Sue's at home
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I want to come back, but I don't know.
Well, hang tight in there. Hang tight in Germany. And you know what? Just so you know, Stockholm ain't no different. Switzerland ain't so different. And I guess you somewhere, anywhere in the States ain't so different. In fact, maybe we should go to the States. Maybe we should get Michael or Melanie, someone on from the States that we know. But thanks for there. Yo, Michael, what's up?
What's up, brothers?
What's
Hey,
happening?
Michael's been working hard on his technical stuff. He's invested in headphones. He's got a new microphone. He's done well.
Looks good. Looks very good.
You can hear me better now, right?
Oh yeah.
Great. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We got cut off the other day, man. I had a question for both of you guys. What is your favorite guitar, each of you, out of your arsenal?
Wow, good question. I mean, Tommy,
If you had one guitar that you could keep, just one.
to be honest with you, it's probably one of Tommy's. my favorite guitars, because all of his guitars play amazing, and I'm not just joking it, but his guitars are set up, they play amazing. He's got these things that he puts on them that they stay in tune, they're amazing. But if I had my one choice, I would take my 1972 Gold Top. I call it my
Beautiful.
first girlfriend. It's all checked and cracked, and it's a 72 Deluxe.
Deluxe. I have a 72 Deluxe.
In it, but the gold has gotten sort of greenish. It's oxidized a bit, and it looks killer. So
That's how mine is.
But Tommy, what's your favorite?
My Silver SG, that one that I played for years, but I took it off the road like the last tour, but I want to bring it back again. The silver one. Yeah, it's like a 1998, I think, or 7.
I do like that guitar, the silver one. I know, but you have so many nice guitars, dude. And Palermo gives you some good ones too.
Palermo does it.
Don't you have a signature one? There she is. What's up, Melanie? How you doing?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Hey.
Well,
I just have one question.
Yes.
What do you got?
Y'all got enough toilet paper?
You saw me stockpiling the other day. The other day, Bianca and I stockpiled some toilet paper. We couldn't help ourselves because we went to the store. We saw empty shelves, and then we saw like 2 packages left. So we go, you know what? You never know. So we got them, but it's the sandpaper type. So if anything, it's going to curb us from actually going to the bathroom because it's that kind that's rough. Like Tommy was in Rough Cut. This is definitely. I think the brand name is Rough Cut,
dude.
Well, it's good to see y'all.
Same here. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm at work, but other than that, I'm good. We're not closing.
Wow. Well, hang in there. I know you're coming from Alabama. I know that some of you guys.
Arkansas.
Oh, Arkansas. Okay. Arkansas. I thought you were from. Well, I always see you at Alabama shows, so I just figured you're from Alabama.
No, from Arkansas. Rock and roll is allergic to Arkansas. Y'all know y'all have not been here in almost 4 years. Y'all need to come on. Me and B, we're waiting on y'all.
All right. Well, Vic's been, just so y'all know, Vic's been, getting you guys in, getting you guys out. So we don't have a chance to say goodbye. If we don't, I'm not cutting you out. Tommy's not cutting you out.
Yeah.
You can blame Vic. All right. But Vic's doing a great job, by the way. But
Hey.
what's happening, man? Nice to see you. What's going on?
Hello.
How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you fine. What's up?
Cool. In quarantine.
All right. Welcome to the quarantine, baby.
Exactly.
Welcome to the quarantine.
15 days. So I got one question.
What is it?
What album do you have that you can play over and over?
Tommy.
One.
Wow, that's tough. It'd probably be Peter Gabriel. So
Okay.
Yeah. That's
a
not
good
a
album.
surprise.
yeah,
For me, it's Cheap Trick's first album, Cheap Trick,
Yep.
Cheap Trick. I can
Yeah.
play that, and pretty much any of the first 3 Cheap Trick records. I'm a huge fan of Cheap Trick, man.
absolutely.
I know.
Yeah.
Good
That's cool.
question.
I'm happy to talk to you again.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Good
Well,
to see
hang in
you.
there.
Yeah.
We will talk. Listen, folks, we will talk to you all in person again. It's not like it ain't going to happen, but right now, being that it can happen, we appreciate you coming out on nights like tonight and days and mornings like today, because like I said, we're broadcasting worldwide. Unfortunately, it is time for me to go actually eat dinner. Probably same for you, T, right? You got to go. And so honestly, for those of you that didn't get on this time, I promise you're going to come on next time.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
T, you want to come on again some other time?
Absolutely. Dude, what else am I doing for the next 6 weeks?
Oh man, we're gonna figure out ways. You know what?
Yeah.
We'll figure out ways. I told you, Joel from Airborne sent a cool message about how it was. I can't verbatim say it, but it was basically how us as musicians will find a way to survive, and we will. And it's you supporting us. We really appreciate it, and we all know that we're gonna find a way to get through this together. And we'll have more of these sort of podcasts. But Tommy, I can't thank you enough for being on with me.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking the time out. And everybody listening right now, thanks for taking the time out as well. And we'll be back again. In the meantime, just support Tommy on Instagram, just Vicious1. Come on by at Ryan Roxie on Instagram. Or if you want to just go to the RyanRoxie.com and come on down the rabbit hole. Thanks, Tommy. Any parting words?
You know what? Just thanks to everyone. Stay healthy, and we look forward to seeing everyone. You know what I mean? Really soon, hopefully. Sooner than later, actually.
Killer. Thank you, guys. We'll see you again. All
Love
right.
you.
Bye. All right. So I'm going to end the broadcast.